This is the haunting story of Soniya, a 20-year-old girl from the narrow alleys of a Delhi, India slum who dared to dream beyond her circumstances. Born to a struggling family that had migrated from Bihar in search of a better life, Soniya grew up watching her parents toil every day, her father selling fodder and her mother working as a maid. Yet, she held on to her dreams fiercely. With education cut short after 10th grade due to financial constraint, Soniya poured her hopes into the glowing screen of a smartphone. She bought it with her tiny savings and started creating Instagram, fashion reels, and relatable monologues. While her parents worked all day, Soniya cleaned the house, shot videos, and chased the illusion of digital fame. Slowly but surely, it started working. Her following grew past 7,000, and she even began designing her own clothes after learning basic tailoring to stand out in her content. For Soniya, Instagram wasn't just an app, it was her escape route from poverty. But then came the twist. Around the age of 19, Soniya fell in love with a boy she called her Boot. Not a ghost from a horror film, but a secret boyfriend whose real identity she kept hidden. Initially, her family knew nothing, but with time, she began posting pictures with him, letting the world in on her once secret romance. Blinded by love, Soniya became increasingly detached from reality. Her behavior changed something her sister and mother noticed but couldn't understand fully. Soon after, Soniya became pregnant, but instead of support, the world turned away. The boy who once promised her forever faded into silence, and society refused to accept her condition. One day, Soniya disappeared without a word. Days later, her lifeless body was found in an abandoned industrial area on the outskirts of the city. Her death shattered not only her family but also exposed a dark truth how society embraces a girl when she entertains, but abandons her when she needs help. Sometimes, young love isn't just blind, it's blinding. This is the story of Soniya, a 20-year-old girl from Delhi who was swept away by a love so intense it erased reason, family, and ultimately, her future. It began innocently, like any modern romance. Soniya met a boy named Sanju, a quiet teen from Haryana who lived with his family just down the street. But Soniya never called him Sanju. To her, he was Boot, her ghost, always present in her life, her phone, her Instagram, her every waking thought. She posted stories, reels, captions, everything about him, as if spellbound. It seemed sweet at first, but what no one realized was that this obsession was silently spiraling into something far darker. By August 2024, Soniya, once the lively girl who rarely stayed home, had grown withdrawn and sickly. Her mother, Raini Devi, began to worry. Medical tests soon confirmed the shocking truths. Soniya was 5 months pregnant. That's when the cracks in her dream began to show. She claimed Sanju was the father and insisted they would raise the child together. She even referred to him as her husband online, sharing reels titled "My Hubby" and "My Everything." Despite no legal marriage, she fasted for him on Karva Chauth in October 2024, acting every bit like a devoted wife. Her family, though heartbroken and hesitant, eventually gave in and accepted their relationship. But just one day after the Karva Chauth puja, at 4 a.m. on October 21st, Soniya quietly packed her belongings and slipped out of the house. Before leaving, she whispered to her sister that Sanju's mother would never accept her, and so she was going to start a new life with him, alone. At 5 a.m., her mother awoke and discovered the truth: Soniya was gone. Frantic, she tried calling, but the phone was off. Hours later, it finally rang, but it wasn't Soniya who answered. A voice on the other end said coldly, "I'm Sanju. Your daughter hates all of you. She doesn't want to talk to anyone anymore." True crime fans, brace yourselves, because what started as a teenage love story has now taken a sinister turn. Soniya's family, desperate to hear even a whisper of her safety, kept calling. But every call ended with Sanju, who now we know is actually Saleem, coldly saying, "She doesn't want to talk to you. Stop bothering her." Soniya's mother begged him, pleaded just to know where her daughter was, but he flatly refused. Hours passed in torment. Then, that night at 11 p.m., Soniya's brother Manish called again. Sanju picked up, but this time, something was off. In the background, Manish could hear muffled voices, some kind of commotion, and then a chilling phrase, "Dig a hole, dig deeper." Fear gripped the family. The words echoed like a death knell. They rushed to Nangloi police station to file a missing report, but were turned away with the cold logic that both Soniya and Sanju were legal adults, and she had likely left by choice. Frustrated and terrified, the family began their own search. The next morning, they traced Sanju's residence, only to be hit with another shock. Not only was his real name Saleem, but his family disowned him. "He means nothing to us anymore," they said bluntly. With the police refusing to help and Saleem's background unraveling into a web of lies, the family feared the worst. Then, a ray of hope, or was it horror, came on October 23rd. Manish received a call from Pasham Vihar police. They had detained a man riding a bike with no number plate. On him, they found Aadhaar cards belonging to Soniya and her father, the very ones she had taken with her. Manish rushed to inform Nangloy police, and soon Saleem was brought in for questioning. At first, he spun the same tale. Soniya left willingly and didn't want contact, but under pressure, his story cracked and what came out was bone-chilling. Saleem had lured Soniya into a carefully laid trap. On the morning of October 21st, Soniya left her house, filled with dreams of building a life with the man she loved. Saleem, still using the name Sanju, picked her up in a rented car. Along the way, he also picked up two of his friends, Pankaj and Ratik. The group headed toward Rohtak, but the mood turned tense. Soniya was pressing him for marriage, something he'd been delaying for months. She had left everything behind for him: her home, her family, her future. But now, as they drove along the Bardagarotak highway, an argument erupted. Soniya was adamant. She wanted a commitment, a real wedding, a real future. What she didn't know was that Saleem had already made up his mind. He had planned this. Every word, every ride, every fake promise. And this was just the beginning of a horrifying plot that would soon be fully uncovered, one layer at a time. Soniya thought she was walking into her dream life, but she was actually stepping into a death trap, carefully laid out by a man who was never who he claimed to be. Saleem, who had pretended to be Sanju, a kind-hearted Hindu boy, had tricked her for months, donning religious symbols, celebrating Hindu festivals, and earning her family's trust. Soniya had no idea that the man she loved, the one she was carrying a child for, had already decided how her story would end. On the day of her disappearance, to calm her fears and stop her from demanding marriage, Saleem promised her they would wed. As a false gesture of celebration, he and his two friends took Soniya to Rohtak to party. But that night, drunk and dangerous, the three men drove her to a remote area near Medina village. There, in a cold-blooded act of horror, they brutally beat the 7-month pregnant Soniya and then strangled her with a phone charger cable. It was around 11 p.m, the exact time her brother Manish had heard Saleem whisper, "Dig deeper." During a mysterious phone call, they buried Soniya's lifeless body in a shallow 4-foot grave and casually returned to Delhi, hoping no one would suspect a thing. Soniya had believed in love. She had trusted Sanju with her life and her unborn child. But Saleem only wanted one thing: physical gratification. Once she became pregnant and demanded commitment, he saw her as a problem to be solved. In police custody, Saleem confessed everything: how he pressured Soniya to get an abortion, how she refused, and how her insistence on marriage forced him to end her life. His deception ran deep. He changed his Instagram username from @SSanju_under17 to @SSaleem_under17 right after the murder, raising chilling questions. Did Soniya ever discover his true identity? And was she really the first girl he had trapped in this web of lies, or just the first whose story came to light? Shockingly, even after confessing, Saleem's family, who had earlier claimed to have disowned him, were now fighting to protect him, further outraging Soniya's grief-stricken relatives. As Soniya's sister painfully said, the same people who claimed to have nothing to do with him are now running around trying to save him from justice. Soniya is gone, her dreams buried along with her in that lonely patch of land. But her story must not be forgotten. It stands as a harrowing lesson for every young person blinded by love. Because in today's world, trust is a luxury, and not every Sanju is what he seems. So before you give your heart away, pause, ask questions, look deeper, and protect yourself from the masks people wear. If this story moved you or left you thinking, share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another gripping case like this one. Stay alert, stay safe,